What's going on, everybody? It's week 2 of the fantasy football season, and it's panic trade alert. Panic trade alert, Tony. Get those panic trades out, because if you're 0-1, the season's over.
I opened up the show, Joe, flexing for Michael Thomas right there. I was doing the Michael Thomas touchdown celebration to open the show.
I wasn't trying to get a shirt, a picture of Michael Thomas without his shirt, just doing it. And because, hey, fantasy football, week 1 went by so quick. We both went to SoFi Stadium, watched the game, and that going to the game is cool, and I love it. We get to support our team, but we also miss out on a lot of other stuff. We also get to miss out on a lot of these other games, because what are you trying to do at the stadium when the game's not on? You're trying to check your fantasy team, right? You're like, oh, what are we doing? Or we're trying to find the nearest TV so we can watch it. Did you have that problem at SoFi?
I didn't even look at any of the games while I was there. I was so intensely into the game. I may have been slightly inebriated. I was standing the entire time. I lost my voice somewhere around the middle of the third quarter. It was an electric experience. I have caught up on a lot of the highlights. I'm going to watch a few more of the games in depth. I really want to see how things shook out the way they did, especially with the Chiefs, with the Saints. But yeah, lots of. I think there was a ton of panic in week 1 of fantasy, and I'm here to calm the people and relax. It's going to be okay.
We could preach it as much as we want, Tony. It's like this every year in week 1. We're always telling people, calm down. Week 1, never pans out to be the way it is at the end of the year. Like, whoever's the rushing guy at week 1 is not the best rusher at the end of the week, at the end of the year. It's just week 1 has so many different things that can happen, and it's just crazy. But I do have a few questions for you today, Tony, and we'll get to them real quick. I want to know, Tony, your opinion. Are these guys back? Are they back? We've been waiting for them. They had their injuries. They had their time off to come back, but they had great weeks this week. Are they back, Tony? Michael Thomas had 5 catches, 57 yards, 2 TDs. Saquon Barkley went over 100 yards, right? James Robinson. Everybody was like, Travis Etienne. James Robinson, nah, this is my team. He had 66 yards and a touchdown. Are they back, Tony?
Joe, I can confirm. I've checked with everybody, looked at the numbers, crunched them all. All 3 of those gentlemen are indeed back and startable players. I think James Robinson is the most risky because he is competing with Etienne, who had, by all accounts, not a very good week 1. Dropping passes, not something I expect from him. So I think there's a little bit of a timeshare there. But Barkley, nobody's competing with him. If he's healthy, he could finish top 5. And people were getting him at the end of the second round and the third rounds if you drafted early enough. And Mike Thomas was going in the 6th round. And he is still a red zone threat, even though I think that this passing game is underrated for the Saints. I have them winning the South. That game was really kind of weird. Again, Atlanta Falcons. Just crumbling defeats for the Falcons over the last, 25 years. But James Robinson is now going into my lineup in 2 lineups, Joe, over Cam Akers. Because I got 3 or 4 shares of James Robinson, because why not? He's too good of a player to be going in the 11th round. So he will be starting over Cam Akers in at least 2 of my leagues. And Saquon, 190 yards, 190 all-purpose yards, looked fast, looked strong. I put up a post today. He was one of the MVPs for people to vote on MJT on all platforms, and he was magnificent.
Yeah, and I definitely think all 3 are back. We've been waiting for him. You and I talked about Barkley a lot during the offseason, where we were like, hey, this is year 2 of him coming back from his injury. This is where they start coming back. James Robinson, we all knew he had the talent. It was just like, how much were they going to feed Etienne? Like, we never thought James Robinson wasn't the number 1 running back. It's just that they brought in Etienne, and that we thought they were going to take over his job. And Michael Thomas, he's just not crazy no more. He's back to being Michael Thomas. And when you have a quarterback that's going to throw the ball like Winston is, because Winston loves throwing the ball, and they're going to have him throw the ball all around the field, he's going to find those wide receivers. And why not find your best guy? So, yeah, I'm with you, Tony. All three are back. And if I have a lot of James Robinson, just like you said, because, hey, when he's at the bottom of the draft and you know that he's a number one running back, you're going to be like, thank you very much for letting him fall to me. Barkley didn't fall to me because in some leagues because he went – people are still taking him second round, which is damn good. If Barkley is Barkley and he's back the way he is and he performs this way every week, that's a number one that's a top talent pick that you got in the second, third round right there. And Michael Thomas, I didn't get to get him. But like you said, people, if you have him and you got these three guys with the value that you got him at, hold on to him. Hold on to him. Don't trade him. Good job.
Yeah, so I got Barkley only in one league because I made a choice with that second RB that I was drafting between Javonte Williams and Saquon Barkley. And I sided with Javonte in 4 out of the 5 situations where I was drafting. So it's, for me, I'm glad I drafted him in the one league. Yeah. He's definitely somebody I would try and trade. If they're trying to sell high on Saquon, it depends on how much, but I would buy on Saquon. If somebody's like, oh man, I got one good week, I got to get something. If they're looking, to maybe get 2 players in return or whatever, maybe they had another injury, he's somebody that I would buy on for that kind of upside.
If I got offered Michael Thomas or Barkley right now, I'd probably look at the deal and be like, okay, yeah, I'll do it. If they're not asking for outrageous prices, I'd probably do it. Tony, this week, best of the best. And you already know because we built these guys up. And look who's in there. Barkley's in there. He was the top guy this week. He beat out Jonathan Taylor, who was the top number 1 overall pick. Of course, you had Justin Jefferson, who everybody had. Justin Jefferson, I think, was number 1. Cooper Kupp was probably number 2. Devontae Adams was number 3. So your top receivers balled out if you took them. But Patrick Mahomes, Tony, number 1 again. 5 touchdown passes, and Travis Kelce there. This is the top at their positions.
It feels pretty chalky except for Barkley, right? Like we know Mahomes is going to be up there, at least the way we drafted him. We hope he's up there near the leaderboard every week. Same thing with Justin Jefferson. I took Jefferson in only one league in the first round because I never draft wide receivers, but I just wanted to have one. And that was the league actually where I have him and Barkley. I crushed in that league this week, but I think that all of these players should see multiple opportunities to be at the top of the board, especially Travis Kelce. For some reason, we do this thing every year where we're like, Travis Kelce should be in the top 10. Then all of a sudden, as it gets closer to draft day, he starts falling back down around. And the person that always goes, well, at 10, I'll take Joe Mixon and then come back around in the second round and get Travis Kelce. Now, all of a sudden, real nice start to your team, and we're like, oh, well, that guy took tight end too early. Travis Kelce isn't that dude that you need to worry about taking too early.
Yeah. You took a tight end that early? Yeah, it's Travis Mofo Kelce. That's why. Because he's putting up points each and every week, and Patrick Mahomes finding him. We had a guy take Josh Allen, number 7 overall in our draft, right? You know where Patrick Mahomes went? 41. And we're like, hey, you just got outscored by a guy who went 20-something picks later than your number 1 pick. And this is kind of why you wait on quarterbacks a little bit, right? Because you can get him in the 3rd round, 4th round, and you get a Patrick Mahomes, and you didn't waste that 1st-round pick. But, hey, not knocking it. You know who the top 5 quarterbacks were this week? Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Carson Wentz, Jalen Hurts, and Justin Herbert were your top 5 fantasy quarterbacks this year. Or this week 1. And then, like I was saying, Barkley's. So you didn't do bad if you had Jonathan Taylor because he was number 2. But, Tony, DeAndre Swift was number 3 this week as the running back. Kareem Hunt out of nowhere. That's great value for Kareem Hunt owners, right? People, I don't know where people got Kareem Hunt, but it was late in drafts. He was falling later and later. And then Cordell Patterson rounded out the top 5 for running backs this week. You want to know your top 5 wide receivers?
Are we going Jefferson? We doing a dialogue?
We should. It should be like Justin Jefferson. No, it was Justin Jefferson, Cooper Kupp, Devontae Adams, Jamar Chase, Michael Pittman.
it's, again, these are the players we drafted and expected, and a lot of people delivered. There were some disappointments with some of your, let's go, your top 60 picks. There's always going to be disappointments every week. But I think of a lot of the players that we depend on a weekly basis showed up and delivered, especially in the receiving department. I think 1 through 10 may have all scored a touchdown, right? Like even in this, or 10 catches, like Tyreek Hill had 94 yards on 8 or 9 catches. He still had a very good week in fantasy. The Kareem Hunt thing, I just want to touch on that real quick, because I spend a lot of time every year trying to convince people that Kareem Hunt is worthy of a draft pick. And then we get early in the season and it's like, there's a committee. It doesn't matter how good Nick Chubb is. And now you have a situation where your $235 million guaranteed QB is benched. So yes, give me Kareem Hunt. People out there, if somebody's willing to trade you Kareem Hunt, go ahead and get him. He's going to be involved in the passing game. He gets goal line work and he's going to get carries. He's going to get touches every week in this offense. Like, get Kareem Hunt on your team.
Yeah, I messed up on that one because I didn't take Kareem Hunt. Woo! And I missed out, Tony. Like that, because Kareem Hunt was going 7th, 8th, 9th round. Like, and you get him and he's a top 5 running back week 1. But this is another reason why you play your studs all the time. You drafted it for a reason. You don't get cute with matchups. You play your studs and let them perform. But there's always disappointment, right, Tony? There's always week 1 disappointment. Here it is. Aaron Rodgers, discount double check, only scored 3 points this week. Cam Akers, he didn't get you crap. Devontae Smith, goose egg. And Kyle Pitts, I think, got 3 points in fantasy football this week.
Oh, so here's the thing with Aaron Rodgers. We were, like, when I say we, I mean most of the people who play fantasy and talk about fantasy all off season. There was a lot of concern around Aaron Rodgers and the wide receiver targets. And then what happens? Christian Watson downfield, wide open. We traded up for this guy and we get a full-on Butterfinger moment from him. Young kid, good. I think he bounces back. With that kind of speed, he is going to have some opportunities to flash at some point. And if he builds trust in the intermediate game, maybe the back shoulder game with Aaron Rodgers, you could have yourself a league winner if Christian Watson is on your waiver wire. But let's focus on Cam Akers for a second, because I started Cam Akers in 4 leagues. And this hurt to watch. And then afterwards, it wasn't like he was nursing an injury. It was, oh no, he needs to make the most of what little we give him, right? Like, it's like trying to say, like, well, you want to be a bodybuilder, but we're only giving you scraps, vegetables, no protein. You ain't going to get big and swole on that. So there is a little need to panic for me, a lot of need to panic with Cam Akers. It's not a drop situation. It's not a trade because nobody wants him. So you just have to ride it out on the bench. Devonta Smith, another thing. I didn't draft him at all. I traded him away in Dynasty because I don't think there's enough volume in the passing game to get A.J. Brown, Dallas Goedert, and Devonta Smith all involved in what's going on there. Maybe it will materialize to that, but I think Devonta Smith is more of a player where we might be guessing. It might be a frustrating season for us, Joe. Like, if you have him, I avoided having that headache in my lineup. And then lastly, the tight end. You need to get Kyle Pitts more involved. And I think Arthur Smith understands that. And I don't foresee that being a problem going forward.
Yeah, and the problem with Kyle Pitts is the same thing that happened last year. He's the only true weapon that they have. Yes, they have Drake London, but nobody's really worried about him yet because they want to see what he could do in the NFL. Everybody knows what Kyle Pitts can do. So they're going to put their best guy on Kyle Pitts, and they're like, let the rest of the offense beat us, which Cordell Patterson has been doing. But that's why Kyle Pitts is he's a tight end taking their best guys.
Yeah, he is going to get the best coverage. He's going to get the focus, but that is your job. If you're Arthur Smith and you have that sort of athletic genius, I mean, look at what he's done. He brought in Cordell Patterson for a reason because he likes that big back, right? He likes that Derrick Henry-esque situation where it's like, we have this guy who's bigger and faster, and I'm going to find ways to get him to the perimeter and make plays. The same thing goes for Kyle Pitts. How can we get him, with motions, whatever we need to get him into one-on-one matchups. So athletically, he can be there for you. If you drafted him 4th overall, a tight end, Joe, 4th overall, you better find ways to scheme him open in your offense, or at least scheme him into favorable one-on-one matchups.
Yeah, you got to get him involved no matter who it is. And you would think that these guys would rely on him, but it is what it is. And this is kind of the reason I stayed away from Kyle Pitts. And if I didn't get a Travis Kelce or somebody, I dropped back and we waited on these guys. But they weren't the only disappointments this week, Tony. Those 4 are just your top guys that I put on there. Derrick Henry, people drafted him high. He only had 8 points this week. Alvin Kamara, if they went after him, he dropped to 7 points. DJ Moore, somebody that we built up, we thought was going to have a better connection. He didn't. And TJ Hawkinson has been disappointing us since last year. He disappoints us again in week 1. Any of those guys stand out?
Yeah, I heard a little bit of panic, saw the rumblings on Twitter and on IG about Derrick Henry. Stop it, people. He did this. He had a slow start last year. Derrick Henry is going to be a focal point of this offense. You cannot sell Derrick Henry. If anything, I would buy Derrick Henry. People are worried about injuries, this, that, and whatever. You think they gave this man a raise because they thought he was injured or had concerns about this foot injury? Give anybody in my league. I know you guys are watching. You guys are stealing all the players that I wanted, taking all the Gabe Davises from me and all the other players. Buy. Sell me Derrick Henry. I will buy. I will throw in a little bit extra if you're that panicked on Derrick Henry. So come talk to me. Send me offers because I'm buying on Derrick Henry.
And you're making a good point right there, Tony. It's week 1, overreaction. Even going into week 2, if these guys have another bad game going into week 2, buy them, because people are going to panic because they go, oh, my season's in a wreck. Go buy these guys. Go buy them low as you can because they have the name value. You know, Derrick Henry's not going to be at the bottom every damn week. You know that. So you go get them and you rise them back up. I would even take a flyer on Aaron Rodgers, like you said earlier, Tony, because the receivers aren't going to drop him every damn week. And you get him. This is what makes you a great fantasy football manager is when you make these little moves here and there when people are panicking and you go, put them on your bench, hide them a little bit. And then when they get hot, you get hot and you look like a genius.
Yeah, I would say this too. I think Aaron Rodgers is a candidate for getting dropped for certain players that did step up, right? Especially if you took Rodgers, you probably also took another young quarterback. Maybe you put Rodgers together with Justin Fields or Trey Lance or something like that. Maybe people move to the wire to get Kirk Cousins, who also had a nice week and is playing with Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen, which is, it's a nice thing to have on your side right there. Even if you have a good quarterback, if Aaron Rodgers is out there, just go ahead and put him on the end of your bench. Add that as your second quarterback, over some of these other, younger players that you're hoping have this upside. Just put him there. Maybe he does ball out and you can get something for him. Maybe you can get, later flex value. You can get, bye week fill in or something like that. You can move him in a deal later in the season. It's Aaron Rodgers.
All right, Tony, let's bring this to our favorite part. It's Tuesday. You know what that means. Get your damn waivers in there. Put them in there. Find out who you guys want. Don't go crazy. Don't go too high because some of these guys won't be around in the next 2 or 3 weeks because week 1 is always like that. There's always hype on one player. But here we go, Tony. These are my favorite top targets. You let me know what you think. Quarterback, Carson Wentz. Why not, right? He looked good. I also had Jameson Winston and Matt Ryan on the list at number where's it at? What's his name? Bajon Warren or Jalen Warren. Sorry, I don't know why I'm thinking Bajon. I'm going French today, Tony. Jalen Warren of the Steelers because Najee Harris got hurt. Jeff Wilson Jr. because of the injury to your boy in San Francisco. Jamal Williams scored 2 touchdowns, taking my vulture touchdowns away from Swift. Khalil Herbert looked good, and White over there in Tampa Bay. And then you got 2 Chargers, the tight end, Gerald Everett, that you talked about all offseason. He went out there and scored a couple touchdowns, made some great catches. And your boy Josh Palmer, that you wore his jersey to the game. Jahan Dotson, Jarvis Landry, Devon Duvernay. How do you say that name, Tony? I know you like saying it.
He's Devon Duvernay. Devon Duvernay. You have to go French. Go with the stereotypical Pepe Le Pew accent. Devon Duvernay.
So here's my targets. Anybody stand out for you?
Obviously, I'm going to say Josh Palmer. I've prepared my bold prediction for him on Thursday Night Football, which is 8 catches, 150 yards, 2 touchdowns on Thursday night against the Kansas City Chiefs. I believe he will be getting a bulk of opportunities with Keenan gone. I think Mike Williams is also going to have a nice night. I think that we could see a lot of scoring and electricity in that game at Arrowhead. I cannot wait. Obviously, I like Gerald Everett. We talked about this. This isn't a fluke. He's going to be put in situations where he's going to score points. He's going to be he's a threat in the red zone too, because if you are looking to guard Mike or Keenan or whatever, he's a mismatch for any linebacker in this league. You cannot just put a linebacker on him and be like he's going to cover him. He bodied Joe's guy to get in the end zone at SoFi on Sunday. So allow the opportunity and upside. Don't necessarily like zoom in on that volume, because it could be, you could be trying to chase that volume. Also factor in opportunity and who's throwing him the football. With the running back situation, Khalil Herbert's the one that's most interesting to me, because David Montgomery, we like him. I didn't draft Montgomery at all this year. I sort of panicked last minute. I was taking him in some mock drafts, and then the more that I was reading about Khalil Herbert, it's going to be a real kind of timeshare committee thing there, and you could get Khalil Herbert way later. I think I only took Herbert in one draft really late, sort of deep leagues, but he's somebody that I might target on waivers this week, because like you said, Elijah Mitchell getting injured, I'm not sold on Jeff Wilson Jr. I have a sneaky feeling that at some point this week, we're going to get a report on Tyrion Davis-Price, the rookie that they got, that he's looking great. He's this, he's that, whatever. And he gets elevated this week to the 53. And people who spend a lot of their fab on Jeff Wilson Jr. could be feeling a little bit of regret, because Jeff Wilson has never been able to stay healthy when he's the feature guy. He never stays long. They drafted Price in the 3rd round. So I'm targeting more him, where I could get him probably for free when waivers run tonight, that you could get him in a lot of your leagues.
2 in the morning and then get him.
Yeah, I mean, Jeff Wilson, don't get me wrong. Jeff Wilson Jr. is somebody that you could start in your flex this weekend and feel pretty good about it. The point projection, the game plan, the script, whatever. I just think if you're going to spend that money and you're chasing somebody that you think is going to be a longer fill-in, don't spend like 30% of your fab on Jeff Wilson Jr. when you can get Tyrion Davis-Price for free and just let him sit there for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I was gonna bring up Davis-Price to you. I was gonna bring up Burkhead, and a lot of people are high on Hillard this week from Tennessee, the backup to Derrick Henry. Any of those guys you like, or even I can throw a wide receiver in there and Curtis Samuel as well. You like any of those?
Nope. I liked your pick with Jahan Dotson in there. Really, in fantasy, I'm going to be a little biased. For me, it's more about excitement, and Jahan Dotson, he's more exciting than Curtis Samuel. The running back situation, I have no interest in Hilliard. Who was the other one you mentioned? Rex Burkhead. So I already put in a waiver claim. In a deep league, I already had Dameon Pierce. I added Rex Burkhead just so that, like, when the buys start to run, I know that I'll feel comfortable having one of those two guys to put in. I drafted Dameon Pierce, but I did not start him in any of my leagues, and I'm glad that I didn't. Rex Burkhead is a good player, but again, health. We've never seen this guy be a feature back, and I think Lovie Smith knows that. But he wanted to start the season strong, get a veteran out there that he felt like he could trust and he knows. But at some point, this will be Dameon Pierce's job, and he will be looking at 18, 20 touches. If anybody who overdrafted him is thinking, oh, I made a mistake, it's Rex Burkhead's job, go and trade for Dameon Pierce. At some point, his talent will prevail, and he will be the guy dominating the backfield touches.
Yeah. And last but not least, Tony, I have one question for you. Is Javonte Williams and Melvin Gordon, are they allergic to touchdowns?
All I know is I was happy for Geno Smith. I was happy that the Broncos lost, and Javonte Williams still got me a bunch of fantasy points. He had 10 plus receptions. I don't even care if they're all dump offs. I will take those all season long. Javonte had a good start with 0 touchdowns, still finished with like 18, whatever it was. I have him in so many different leagues where the scoring is different. In one league, he scored 21. In another league, he scored 17 and a half. And this, like, he scored around roughly 18 fantasy points. So, yeah, it would have been nice. No fumble. I did lose by 0.7 in a league, Joe, where that no fumble. Even if he doesn't score a touchdown, if he just doesn't fumble, I win that league this week. But you win some. I lost more. I'll win some more. It's great. I'm so happy.
And we're talking about this off the air. The Bronco game is a big part of the overreaction Monday. Like, me and you are gonna give Bronco fans a hard time because we're AFC West fans, and we're gonna talk a lot of crap. But the Broncos will be okay. They look better in the second half. They'll get those fixed. They score those touchdowns. They win those games easily. Things happen. It was bad atmosphere, everything. Anything else that you got for week 2? Getting ready for week 2, Tony.
Yes.
Any other advice?
Don't panic on players like Cole Kmet. Don't drop them. That was a rain game. Don't drop Trey Lance also playing in the monsoon. Darnell Mooney. Like, just understand that weather's a factor in some of these games. Game script is also, you have guys like Mike Williams. Why did Keenan was out and he still only got 3 targets? They were trying to get a win against a division opponent, knowing they had a short week where they already lost Keenan and they were going to need to make sure they had a healthy Mike Williams. They thought that they had an opportunity. They did win the game the way they won it, which was run, pass. And it's not exciting, but you don't want to risk Mike Williams also getting injured and then having to play in Kansas City on a short week. So it'll all balance itself out. There's a lot of other players people are panicking on. Some are valid, some are not. I think there's a little bit of panic to be going with DJ Moore, with Baker. It's crazy. I'm going to rewatch the game. I want to see if DJ was open more often than he was targeted. And a little bit of panic with Cam Akers. But other than that, the other guys, I think Cortland Sutton is in for bigger weeks. Like some of these players that we thought might have more targets, more red zone opportunities, they will be there. Trade for anybody out there that you were upset that you didn't get and they had a bad week 1. Go find that fantasy manager and just get in his ear and just be like, hey, pretty disappointing week. But would you like Kareem Hunt and I don't know, Robbie Anderson for Derrick Henry? It's just the starter. We could move up. How about Kareem Hunt? Yeah, we're just talking, just feeling it out. How about Kareem Hunt and I don't know, Jarvis Landry? He had a big week. But you
do it the way that I like it, Tony. You're talking the way I like. You put the appetizer out there, you put the appetizer out there, and then bring the full course meal later on when you got me bought in there.
Yeah, he does not need to know that my final offer would be Kareem Hunt and let's say, I don't know, you had a good week that's in that middle tier. I guess the middle tier guys kind of let me down a little bit.
Yeah, the middle tier wasn't there this week.
Yeah, they weren't really hitting like that. But I would go a little bit bigger. Dare I say, for Derrick Henry, I think I will put that at Allen Robinson and Kareem Hunt for Derrick Henry. Would you make that trade? Which side would you want to be on?
I don't know. Allen Robinson made me mad this week. So I don't want to get into it. But it's a good trade.
Yeah.
But either way, we'll see you guys next week, week 3. And we'll see you guys Sunday morning, all right? Sunday morning for our fantasy show. Maybe even earlier than that. We don't know. Because with the MJT, we're everywhere. It's football talk all the time.
Yeah, maybe Thursday. If the Chargers are crushing it in the first half, I might jump on for the second half and stream the game and just have the crazy watch party. But who knows? I got to sneeze. That's why I'm trying not to end.
We're going to let Tony sneeze. We're going to let him do that. We're out of here. Thank you guys very much. Good luck on your fantasy weeks. Don't panic over being 0-1 because you're 1 week away from being 1-1.